Hello there. Well, in our modern age, the line between convenience and control is becoming dangerously blurred. What appeared to be isolated policy changes or digital innovations are now converging into a larger system that threatens personal freedoms, privacy and the democratic norms. The increasing use of financial surveillance, that coupled with the central bank digital currencies, signal a deeper transformation into how the government interacts with its citizens, not merely as a service providers, but overseers of personal behaviour. While sold to the public as tools for combating fraud, improving efficiency and modernising economies, these technologies and policies are rapidly becoming instruments of control. The quiet revolution risks turning welfare recipients and eventually everyone into subjects of financial panopticon, where spending choices are no longer private but monitored and judged, and then finally potentially penalised. Governments and our government's departments, such as the DWP, the Pension of Work and Pensions, have expressed concerns about benefit fraud. Although statistically minimal, fraud and error account for a small fraction of the welfare expenditure. The justification for tighter surveillance continues to gain political traction. Proposals to monitor claimants' bank accounts are directly or via data sharing mechanisms have emerged under the guise of fraud prevention. However, this narrative conceals a fundamental truth. Such surveillance disproportionately affects the most vulnerable while normalising intrusion and financial privacy. Importantly, these tools, such as the real-time monitoring of bank transactions, could expose deeply personal information. For example, a DWP official could feasibly infer from bank statements or receipts that a person bought cigarettes, alcohol or non-essential items, and use this data to question their eligibility for support. This represents not only a violation of privacy, but as a paternalistic judgment about how individuals ought to live. Central bank digital currencies are increasingly touted by the government and central banks of the future. While they may streamline financial systems and make payments more efficient, they also introduce unprecedented control into the financial lives of ordinary people. Unlike cash, which is anonymous and decentralised, CBDCs could issue a potentially monitored directly by the state. Each transaction is traceable and every purchase logged. Now, this represents a chilling possibility. Governments, in theory, limit what individuals are allowed to purchase. They could impose expiry dates on money or by forced spending restrict access to certain goods or adjust welfare payments dynamically based on perceived behaviour. A person who saves money to buy holidays, gifts or take a vacation could be flagged as hoarding public funds or not needing that much benefit. The very idea of financial autonomy begins to erode when the money itself is becoming programmable. Now, most supermarkets in this country and a lot of retailers now issue digital receipts and have stored personal history linked to loyalty cards or payments data. If such data is accessed, either voluntary or through legal compulsion by government departments, it could be used to make sweeping inferences about a person's lifestyle, on income support or universal credit. And you've bought some cigarettes, you bought a 6-pack of beer, you bought that bit of lobster. No, you don't realise it's on yellow sticker and a fraction of the price because the logarithm wouldn't pick that up, it'd just pick up the lobster. Oh, you're on lobster, you. Now, this isn't speculative. It follows the logic already in place. The moment financial support becomes conditional on behavioural monitoring, society has crossed from welfare to surveillance. This introduces a form of behavioural policy through which the state shapes how people live, not by laws but by controlling their ability to spend. For me, and many others, the most unsettling aspect of this shift is that it primarily affects the poor and working class. Middle and high income individuals are largely immune to this level of scrutiny. They are less dependent on state support, better able to navigate or bypass surveillance systems, and more likely to be protected by legal resources. This creates a two-tier society, one that is free to live as it wishes and one that must justify every purchase. Even more troubling is the complacency amongst those that are not directly affected, because the middle class and wealthy often do not feel the immediate impact. They may see no reason to object. However, history shows that systems of control rarely stay confined to one group. What begins with the benefit claimants can quickly expand to the others under the banner of fairness or national security. And of course, when surveillance is once normalised, it'll never shrink. It never does. You know, and at its core, the push for financial monitoring, or the CBDCs, challenges the democratic principle of an individual's autonomy. Citizens are no longer trusted to make their own choices. Instead, they are monitored and managed. This is not merely an invasion of privacy. It's an inversion of democratic values where the state becomes the judge of morality and merit. Furthermore, the shift toward programmable money may one day enable authorities to vary wages, impose targeted taxes, or reward certain types of behaviour. It may begin with benefit recipients, but it could ultimately affect pensioners' salaries and savings. With AI and big data statistics and data analytics, it could become technically feasible to engineer behaviour at scale through financial incentives and punishments. Now, this is not a dystopian fantasy. It's not putting me tinfoil hat on. It's not anything out of the ordinary. The technologies are there. now, this minute. And it's the logical outcome of these policies already in motion. Financial surveillance, justified by war on fraud, is expanding. CBDCs are being actively developed and even tried. The infrastructure for total financial oversight is being built, and the social and political justification is being quietly assembled. Our freedoms aren't lost in a single event. They're slowly chipped away. Little chip there. One policy at a time. Often in the name of efficiency, safety, fairness. If we do not question this now, if we do not stop and think about this now, if we do not protect the right to privacy and financial autonomy now, we may soon wake up in a world where every penny we spend is subject to judgment, and every act of living is in a line on a government ledger. Thanks for watching. Take care.